Welcome back to Ant on Music. I'm your host, Ant. This week we're going to be taking a look at a couple of re-releases, remasters, new box set, and the fourth in a series of albums that have come out over the past year. Um, Last we spoke about this, there was good news out of the Dream Theater camp that Mike Portnoy had been welcomed back into the fold, and that's still going strong. Unfortunately, the past week saw some sad news come out of the Dream Theater camp, which was Charlie Dominici, the singer that was on the original first Dream Theater album, had passed away at 72. Rest in peace to Charlie. A lot of people that knew him said he was a great guy. If you get a chance, if you can hunt it down, I'm going to start off with this week. Dream Theater, the official bootleg. This is the original series. They put them out on CD and on DVD. And this is When Dream and Day Reunite. The original album was When Dream and Day Unite, and Charlie sang on that. And this was a one-night only deal out in LA, where the band performed the entire album in its entirety for its 15th anniversary, and Charlie was there along with Derek Sherinian, their keyboard player at one time. Kevin Moore was the keyboard player that played on the original album, but Derek was the guy who played on the live show, on this live show here. If you can hunt this down, this on DVD or on CD, check it out. It's probably available here on YouTube somewhere. I'm sure somebody must have uploaded it at some point, but it's a pretty cool little piece of Dream Theater history. Cool thing about the DVD, it also has additional bonus footage of them rehearsing and talking about their career. So if you get a chance, you may want to search this one out. This is a good one. When Dream and Day Reunite, Dream Theater. So as far as vinyl goes this week, okay, finally got the fourth in a series of albums from Weezer. Okay, this one is Winter. If you're familiar with this set, over the past year they've been releasing 4 seasonal albums, spring, summer, autumn, and fall, and this completes the seasons collection from them. So you got the front cover there, the back cover, seasons logo, and then you have your liner notes and lyrics. They've come out in different variations. This version came out on, of course, Snow White vinyl. Pretty cool to look at. Plays great, sounds great. If you dig Weezer, you're probably well aware of this project they've been embarking on over the past year, and it is pretty cool. Pretty cool set of stuff. The songs relate to the season. Next up, the final album from Jimmy Buffett. I've had this one for a few weeks, and it's kind of like a retrospective of Jimmy's career in a way. He goes through different modes of his career, and it really brings back some good memories of what he did over the past 45, 50 years in music. It's got the Preservation Hall band on here, the Preservation Hall Jazz Band on here on the opening track, University of Bourbon Street, which is pretty cool. It's got Bubbles Up, which if you listen to the lyrics of Bubbles Up, it is sort of like Jimmy's farewell to his fan base. You've got Audience of One. My Gummy Just Kicked In, excuse me, My Gummy Just Kicked In. I always think of Gumbo when I think of Jimmy. That song was inspired by a double dinner date with Paul McCartney and his wife, Nancy. So the story on that is that the couples were having dinner. Paul was at one end of the table with Jimmy's wife. Jimmy was at the other end of the table with Paul's wife, and Nancy kind of stumbled a little bit. And she kind of, said, "Oh, you got to pardon me. My gummy just kicked in." Her THC gummy. So Jimmy kind of was like, "Oh, would you mind if I use that?" And Paul right away was like, "Wait, what are you talking about? What's going on?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing. You just stay down there. Everything's cool." And then, as the song developed, he told Paul about it. And, you know, that was the first single that was released prior to Jimmy's passing. And then Bubbles Up was released right as he passed. You also have the title track on here, Equal Strain on All Parts. And like my dog, which is, Love Me Like My Dog. Paul also plays on this album as well. And, he plays bass, and it's pretty cool that he comes down and hangs out with Jimmy in the album. And it's a double album. Let me show you that before we talk about sides. The second album, we got the gatefold here of the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jimmy Buffett. And inside, photos of the recording sessions, okay, and the lyrics. And this version of the album is on very beautiful light blue. I'll show you the other sleeve as well. You got another good song on side 3, Portugal or PEI. Nobody Works on Friday, which is basically about the world we live in now with everyone working remote. Here's the other album. You can see that same beautiful ocean blue, as you want to call it, or island blue. That's there. Johnny's Rum, Columbus, and finishes off with a cover of Mozambique, which is a Bob Dylan song. Bob Dylan actually said that Jimmy was his favorite songwriter, among his top 5 at least. So, if you dig Jimmy Buffett, and it's funny because I think one of the prior videos I said I don't listen to country. I don't consider Jimmy Buffett country, so he's got island vibes. It's very different. I think a lot of the younger country artists that have come up and tried to glom on to his aesthetic don't really do him justice, but that's just me. So you may want to check this out, Equal Strain on All Parts. Great album from the late great Jimmy Buffett. We'll see if we get anything else, if there's anything left in the can. So now we have the connection. What's the connection? Well, you have Paul's wife and Paul himself having dinner and guesting on the album. Well, that leads us to the Beatles. So we have the Beatles, red and blue albums. We'll go through both of them. So this is the red album, the earlier stuff in their career. And this was expanded out. This was originally a dual album set, a 2-album set. And it's added on both counts an additional album worth of stuff. And on this configuration of this album, it amounts to 12 additional tracks, which is really cool. Giles Martin remixed and remastered a lot of the tracks. So you have the cover there, the back cover there, which shows them in as they were older, later in their career. And you've got the gatefold inside, okay, with the Beatles present there. And this came in also red and blue versions as far as the vinyl, but I went with basic black. And you've got the Apple logo on there on each of the albums, and it's great, great to have this back on vinyl. Aside from the 3 slabs of vinyl, get a story of where the Beatles were at their career so far, with some cool pictures of them from their career. It's really neat to have. And, this was like the starting place for a lot of people in my age group of discovering the Beatles. It was a great way to get into them because it had a wealth of material on here and you could get it all in one set. It's one of the better, collections. If you think about it, like I said, they had the red and the blue albums, and now we're going to look at the blue, which is pretty similar, except the images are reversed. Front cover is them later in the career, and the back is them younger in their career. And this has an additional 9 tracks on it. You've got the album notes on here, where they're at in their career at this point in time. Pretty neat photos as well. And like I said, went with the basic black on this. And I'm not going to waste your time showing you 3 slabs of vinyl on each, but there's the Apple logo on both sides of the album that replicates on each of the 3 slabs of vinyl there. So you have that. That's once again, great collection of stuff. And the big gimme on this, aside from the 9 additional tracks in the extra album, is this one also has the blue version has Now and Then, which is the last Beatles single, which I spoke about prior. That was put together using a track that John Lennon had, and Yoko Ono had given it to the band to to basically finish off. And they had worked on it back when they put out the Beatles anthology records, but it didn't come to fruition because they couldn't get a good separation on the vocal and the piano. And Peter Jackson, when he was working on the the Get Back film, he came up with a new technology to clarify and separate the vocals from the music track, and it allowed the Beatles to, complete the track. And, since that time, since the anthology, George passed as well. So, you have pieces taken from what was already recorded and mixed in with what they had been working on for years to provide the finished track of Now and Then, which is a great song if you haven't heard it. You could pick up the single of that or the 12-inch of that, or you could just pick this up, and this has it on it, along with remixed and remastered tracks from throughout the Beatles' history. And like I said, these two together, this was a great way to get into the Beatles. If you're like a novice, you don't really know about the Beatles. I don't know how you couldn't, but this is a great place to start. Isn't the be-all end-all, but it's definitely cool for the casual fan to have that. I'm a diehard Beatles fan. I was raised a Beatles fan. Always have Beatles music playing in the house. So for me, just having this again, it brings back fond memories of growing up and listening to the Beatles. And like I said, it's a great collection to have the two. And if you think about it, the original Red and Blue albums were 2 albums. Now they're expanded to 3. So it's like we got an additional set of 2 albums to listen to, which is really cool. Final thing we're going to go through today is a box set, because what would the week be complete without going through a box set? And, Beavis and Butthead fans are going to, probably roast me on this one, but got Winger. It's like I started doing a little research into them. I was always a Winger fan back when they came up, but I had no idea that they were considered a New York-based band. I always thought they were from either, the other coast or from down south, or Colorado, where Kip is originally from, but they're not. And this is their box set. It compiles all the stuff that they released for Atlantic Records. They've since released other albums, and they actually put out another album this year called 7, which is worth checking out. Very cool. So this is called Winger Chapter 1, The Atlantic Years, 1988 to 1993. And it collects all of their stuff that they did for the label. Originally, the band was supposed to be called Sahara. Then at the last moment, the name was changed to Winger. And if you look on the album, just as it was when it was first released, Sahara right there. Take a look at the inside of this. I know they've released these albums separately on colored vinyl. These are all basic black in the box set there, and heavyweight 180 gram vinyl. The sleeve is replica of what was originally put out, with liner notes and lyrics front and back. Obviously the cover, got the rear cover there as well. That's the debut album, and I was at the show when this album was released, where it was certified gold, and it was insane. It was at the nightclub I used to work at in New Rochelle, New York, called Streets, and it was insane. It's like they literally had so much power. They absorbed so much power from the stage with their equipment. They actually blew the sound system like 2 or 3 times. They blew the electrical. It was a wild night, but they were fantastic live. I don't think they get enough credit. They got lumped in with the hair bands, of course, and you look at Kip Winger's a good-looking dude. You can understand why they were marketed that way. You can understand why, girls were attracted to him. But the dude can sing, he can play bass, and they wrote good songs. And Brett Beach is he's a great guitarist. And definitely doesn't get enough credit. Also in the box set, we have the second album, In the Heart of the Young. Sure you'd realize that, this song had, the first album, getting back to that, Madeline, Hungry, 17, their cover of Purple Haze, State of Emergency, Poison Angel, and Headed for a Heartbreaker. Most of the tracks on this one, great album, it's a great debut. Then you have the second album, In the Heart of the Young, which is also the cover of the box itself. And this one was simply called Winger 2. And this had, the big track over this was the first track, Can't Get Enough. Great album as well. Let's take a look. Not going to bother showing you the vinyl because it's, it's the same, but you have the liner notes and the lyrics front and back, back cover, picture of the boys right there, and Winger. And then their third and final album that they released for Atlantic was Pull. This one didn't get really much credit. I remember the track Blind Revolution Mad was great. Down Incognito is a great song. After the band broke up, Kip went on a solo career, and he did an album called Made by Hand, which I have. And he does a great, scaled back version of Down Incognito. Spell 'Em Under, another great track. The Lucky One, and No Man's Land. There's other tracks on this as well, but this is Pull. Really not much to look on the back there except titles of the tracks. And once again, lyrics and liner notes. At this point, though, the whole hair metal scene was pretty much, killed off by grunge, thanks to Kurt Cobain and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. They had done them in. And what was the big gimme? Because when you get these box sets, the whole thing is well, you probably have that stuff already. Whether you have it on vinyl, you have it on CD, like I have it on CD already. But the big gimme for this is this album of demos. Okay, so you have Madeline, Hungry, 17, Headed for a Heartbreak, Can't Get Enough, Easy Come Easy Go, which is another great track that I forgot to mention, Miles Away, another one, Blind Revolution Mad, Down Incognito, and Who's the One. You got another picture of the band and the tracks. And this, picture of the band live. And, basic black. Nothing spectacular to look at as far as, color vinyl, but, very neat. And the last thing that came in this box was a booklet. Okay. Picture of the band on the back. And this basically goes through, the history of the band, where they were at. It's a 16-page book. It's pretty cool to look at. They got some great pictures and some notes, even some copies of handwritten notes from notebooks. And I'll show you one more. If you're a Winger fan, it's definitely worth checking out. If you're a hair metal fan, it's definitely worth checking out. So that's everything I have for you this week. Getting into the holidays, this week is, obviously Thanksgiving week. So I wish everyone a healthy and happy Thanksgiving. If you're celebrating, if you're here in the States, if you're somewhere else around the world, stay safe. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for checking this out. Leave a comment. Join the colony. Hit the subscribe button. This is Ant Up Music, so we're gonna have an ant colony. Join. Hit subscribe. Hit like. If you have a comment, positive or negative, let me know. If there's something or some band you'd like for me to show, because I have quite a bit of stuff to go through, let me know. And always like to share my music collection with people. That's why I, decided to start this channel. I really appreciate everyone coming by and checking it out. Thank you for your time, and as always, peace, one love, and music.